Hi, this is Jane at the Tahlequah Public Library, and I'm back with quick looks at 3 books this time. The first book is called The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I had to make a copy of the cover because we don't have any available. They're all on request. The next book is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And the third book is The Boys in the Boat by Daniel James Brown. The Lost Apothecary is one of the most anticipated books of 2021. It's on all sorts of to-read lists this year. There's 3 points of view. All of them are women. One of them is Nella. She's the apothecary. She makes herbal remedies, but she also makes poisons. The other person from 1791 is a 12-year-old girl named Eliza who comes to Nella's shop to purchase a poison from her. Then there's also a third character point of view from Caroline. She's in the present. She is an American woman in London on her 10th anniversary, and she's all alone. So in this story there is some mystery. You want to know, why is Caroline alone? Why do they need these poisons? That kind of thing. What's happened to Nella in the past? So you mainly want to know what's going to happen to these people. What's going to be the end of the story. The library currently has these books available in standard print, so regular print, but there's about, I think, 10 or 12 people are in line to get those ones. We have them in audio CD, ebook on Libby, but there's, the last time I checked, which I believe was yesterday, there was 12-week wait on those. However, if you would like to listen to it on audio, Hoopla has The Lost Apothecary available right now on audiobook. That was how I listened to it. I didn't want to wait for the book because I really liked the cover, and so I wanted to listen to the book. One thing I'll say about listening to it is one of the narrators, there's 3 narrators, one for each female character. One of the narrators reads very, very slowly and kind of grim, so I actually sped these up to 1.25 speed so that character would sound like a normal speaking person, and it didn't affect the other narrations of the other characters, so I just listened to the whole book at 1.25 speed. I ended up liking it. My husband actually listened to it with me too, so I would recommend The Lost Apothecary. If I'm going to read this for 21 and 21 challenge on Beanstack. It would work in a published in 2021 book. It would work as an audio, and it would also work picked for its cover. As you can see, the cover is really nice, and down here there's this little green beetle, which is a main part of the book. So these little beetles are a main part of the book, but the cover is really beautiful if you ever get to see it in person. So that's the first book, The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. Then the second book is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a Sequoia nominee book for this year too. This book is a young adult book. I don't read too much young adult books, but occasionally I do. I read this one several months ago. I ended up liking it. I thought it was a good YA book, and it was just a good story. The main character, Avery, just unexpectedly, kind of out of the blue, inherits billions of dollars, billion-dollar fortune from a man in Texas named Tobias Hawthorne. She doesn't know who he is, and the stipulation of the will is that she has to go live on his estate in Texas with his family for 1 year, and then she'll inherit all these billions of dollars. So she goes down to Texas. There's all sorts of mysteries in the story. Why was she left this money? There's all sorts of puzzles that you have to solve and codes. I mean, there's just all sorts of things going on. There's the family that she has to contend with. There's 4 grandsons, and there's like flirtation but not romance in this story. A lot of YA has romance, and I don't usually like that part too much, but this doesn't have a heavy romance. There's just a little flirting, and a couple of the grandsons will help her try to solve some of the puzzles, and there's a few one grandson in particular that's kind of an antagonist of her, but it's a very pretty good YA book. I liked it. It's available through the library as standard print. You can get it on an audio CD. You can get it as an ebook through Libby and as an audiobook through Libby. I actually read the physical book, and it is available to check out at the library right now, so it's not a hard one to get. Book 2 of this, because it is the first in the series, book 2, The Hawthorne Legacy, will be coming out in September 2021. If you want to read the Inheritance Games as part of the 21 and 21 books Beanstack Challenge, you will go for a couple of categories. One, it's the first in a series. It's also a young adult book, so that's a different category. Another category is The Inheritance Games is written by an Oklahoma-born author, and she actually still lives in Oklahoma. She's a professor at the University of Oklahoma. This is another book that you could read solely based on the cover, because it does have a really neat cover, and there's all sorts of like little things that if you really look in it, you can see all sorts of little hidden things in the cover. And you could also use it as an audiobook read. Then the third book is The Boys in the Boat by Daniel Brown. This book actually came out a few years ago. It's the true story of the 1936 nine-man rowing team who won gold medal for the United States in the Olympics of 1936 in Berlin. Not only does it talk about obviously the Olympics, but it goes back into the past history of the boys that are rowing. The main focus is on one man whose name was Joe Rance, but these were all working class boys, and as opposed to being aristocrats, mainly rowing was back east on the East Coast type of thing. These were all working class boys that went to the University of Washington, started rowing for the college, and ended up getting all the way to the 1936 Olympics, where they managed to hang on and beat Italy and Germany for the gold medal at the 1936 Olympics. It's similar to Seabiscuit, Unbroken, those kinds of books. It's interesting, it's easy to read. It has pictures all through it. I don't even like rowing, and I thought that part was interesting too. It's available through the library in standard print, large print. There's audiobook CD, and we have the ebook through Libby. We do not have the audio version, which is kind of a shame because the audio version is very good too. There's also a PBS documentary on these boys. It's called The Boys of 36. The library does not have a copy of it right now, but Robin is going to try to get the DVD version of The Boys of 36, the PBS documentary. I've seen that, and it's also very good. And they may be making a movie of this, supposed to be starting about the time that 2020, when all of the COVID stuff started, and hopefully they'll get that back on track. If you're wanting to use this book for 21 and 21 Beanstack Challenge, you could use it in the category book based on a true story, or reading the category of reading a nonfiction book about something that interests you. And wasn't really too interested in rowing, but I am interested in things in American history and the Great Depression era and stuff like that. So I ended up I read all three of these books. I liked all of them, and I hope that you'll like one of them too. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.